12.5 Natural Resources and Climate Change. Lesson Objectives. Distinguish between renewable and non-renewable resources. Describe threats to soil and water resources. Identify the causes and effects of air pollution. Explain global climate change. Vocabulary: acid rain, air pollution, algal bloom, dead zone, global warming, greenhouse effect, natural resource, non-renewable resource, ozone hole, renewable resource, soil, sustainable use. Introduction. A natural resource is something supplied by nature that helps support life. When you think of natural resources, you may think of minerals and fossil fuels. However, ecosystems and the services they provide are also natural resources. Biodiversity is a natural resource as well. Renewable and non-renewable resources. From the human point of view, natural resources can be classified as renewable or non-renewable. Renewable resources. Renewable resources can be replenished by natural processes as quickly as humans use them. Examples include sunlight and wind. They are in no danger of being used up, see figure below. Metals and other minerals are renewable too. They are not destroyed when they are used and can be recycled. Lesson content. Figure 1. Wind is a renewable resource. Wind turbines like this one harness just a tiny fraction of wind energy. Living things are considered to be renewable. This is because they can reproduce to replace themselves. However, they can be overused or misused to the point of extinction. To be truly renewable, they must be used sustainably. Sustainable use is the use of resources in a way that meets the needs of the present and also preserves the resources for future generations. Non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are natural resources that exist in fixed amounts and can be used up. Examples include fossil fuels such as petroleum, coal, and natural gas. These fuels formed from the remains of plants over hundreds of millions of years. We are using them up far faster than they could ever be replaced. At current rates of use, petroleum will be used up in just a few decades and coal in less than 300 years. Nuclear power is also considered to be a non-renewable resource because it uses up uranium, which will sooner or later run out. It also produces harmful wastes that are difficult to dispose of safely. Soil and water resources. Theoretically, soil and water are renewable resources. However, they may be ruined by careless human actions. Soil. Soil is a mixture of eroded rock, minerals, partly decomposed organic matter, and other materials. It is essential for plant growth, so it is the foundation of terrestrial ecosystems. Soil is important for other reasons as well. For example, it removes toxins from water and breaks down wastes. Although renewable, soil takes a very long to form, up to hundreds of millions of years. So, for human purposes, soil is a non-renewable resource. It is also constantly depleted of nutrients through careless use and eroded by wind and water. For example, misuse of soil caused a huge amount of it to simply blow away in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl, see figure below. Soil must be used wisely to preserve it for the future. Conservation practices include contour plowing and terracing. Both reduce soil erosion. Soil also must be protected from toxic wastes. Lesson content. Figure 2. The Dust Bowl occurred between 1933 and 1939 in Oklahoma and other southwestern U.S. states. Plowing had exposed prairie soil. Drought turned the soil to dust. Intense dust storms blew away vast quantities of the soil. Much of the soil blew all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Water. Water is essential for all life on Earth. For human use, water must be fresh. Of all the water on Earth, only 1% is fresh, liquid water. Most of the rest is either salt water in the ocean or ice in glaciers and ice caps. Although water is constantly recycled through the water cycle, it is in danger. Overuse and pollution of fresh water threaten the limited supply that people depend on. Already, more than 1 billion people worldwide do not have adequate fresh water. With the rapidly growing human population, the water shortage is likely to get worse. CK12, are we in danger of running out of water? California's population is growing by 600,000 people a year, but much of the state receives as much annual rainfall as Morocco. With fish populations crashing, global warming, and the demands of the country's largest agricultural industry, the pressures on our water supply are increasing. Are we in danger of running out of water? Too much of a good thing. Water pollution comes from many sources. One of the biggest sources is runoff. Runoff picks up chemicals such as fertilizer from agricultural fields, lawns, and golf courses. It carries the chemicals to bodies of water. The added nutrients from fertilizer often cause excessive growth of algae, creating algal blooms, see figure below. The algae use up oxygen in the water so that other aquatic organisms cannot survive. This has occurred over large areas of the ocean, creating dead zones, where low oxygen levels have killed all ocean life. A very large dead zone exists in the Gulf of Mexico. Measures that can help prevent these problems include cutting down on fertilizer use. Preserving wetlands also helps because wetlands filter runoff. Lesson content. Figure 3. Algal bloom. Nutrients from fertilizer in runoff caused this algal bloom. The atmosphere. The atmosphere plays an important part in maintaining Earth's fresh water supply. It is part of the water cycle. It refills lakes and rivers with precipitation. The atmosphere also provides organisms with gases needed for life. It contains oxygen for cellular respiration and carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Air pollution. Earth's atmosphere is vast. However, it has been seriously polluted by human activities. Air pollution consists of chemical substances and particles released into the atmosphere, mainly by human actions. The major cause of outdoor air pollution is the burning of fossil fuels. Power plants, motor vehicles, and home furnaces all burn fossil fuels and contribute to the problem, see table below. Ranching and using chemicals such as fertilizers also cause air pollution. Erosion of soil in farm fields and construction sites adds dust particles to the air as well. Fumes from building materials, furniture, carpets, and paint add toxic chemicals to indoor air. Pollutant example/major source problem. Sulfur oxides, SOx, coal-fired power plants acid rain. Nitrogen oxides, NOx, motor vehicle exhaust acid rain. Carbon monoxide, CO, motor vehicle exhaust poisoning. Carbon dioxide, CO2, all fossil fuel burning global warming. Particulate matter, smoke, dust, wood and coal burning respiratory disease, global dimming. Mercury coal-fired power plants, medical waste neurotoxicity. Smog coal burning respiratory problems, eye irritation. Ground-level ozone motor vehicle exhaust respiratory problems, eye irritation. In humans, air pollution causes respiratory and cardiovascular problems. In fact, more people die each year from air pollution than automobile accidents. Air pollution also affects ecosystems worldwide by causing acid rain, ozone depletion, and global warming. Ways to reduce air pollution from fossil fuels include switching to non-polluting energy sources, such as solar energy, and using less energy. What are some ways you could use less energy? Acid rain. All life relies on a relatively narrow range of pH, or acidity. That's because protein structure and function is very sensitive to pH. Air pollution can cause precipitation to become acidic. Nitrogen and sulfur oxides mainly from motor vehicle exhaust and coal burning create acids when they combine with water in the air. The acids lower the pH of precipitation, forming acid rain. If acid rain falls on the ground, it may damage soil and soil organisms. If it falls on plants, it may kill them, see figure below. If it falls into lakes, it lowers the pH of the water and kills aquatic organisms. Lesson content. Figure 4. Effects of acid rain. These trees in a European forest were killed by acid rain. Ozone depletion. There are two types of ozone. You can think of them as bad ozone and good ozone. Both are affected by air pollution. Bad ozone forms near the ground when sunlight reacts with pollutants in the air. Ground-level ozone is harmful to the respiratory systems of humans and other animals. Good ozone forms in a thin layer high up in the atmosphere, between 15 and 35 kilometers above Earth's surface. This ozone layer shields Earth from most of the sun's harmful UV radiation. It plays an important role in preventing mutations in the DNA of organisms. Unfortunately, the layer of good ozone is being destroyed by air pollution. The chief culprits are chlorine and bromine gases. They are released in aerosol sprays, coolants, and other products. Loss of ozone has created an ozone hole over Antarctica. Ozone depletion results in higher levels of UV radiation reaching Earth. In humans, this increases skin cancers and eye cataracts. It also disturbs the nitrogen cycle, kills plankton, and disrupts ocean food webs. The total loss of the ozone layer would be devastating to most life. Its rate of loss has slowed with restrictions on pollutants, but it is still at risk. Global climate change. Another major problem caused by air pollution is global climate change. Gases such as carbon dioxide from the burning of fossil fuels increase the natural greenhouse effect. This raises the temperature of Earth's surface. What is the greenhouse effect? The greenhouse effect is a natural feature of Earth's atmosphere. It occurs when gases in the atmosphere radiate the sun's heat back down to Earth's surface, see figure below. Otherwise, the heat would escape into space. Without the greenhouse effect, Earth's surface temperature would be far cooler than it is. In fact, it would be too cold to support life as we know it. Lesson content. Figure 5. The greenhouse effect. Without greenhouse gases, most of the sun's energy would be radiated from Earth's surface back out to space. Global warming. Global warming refers to a recent increase in Earth's average surface temperature, see figure below. During the past century, the temperature has risen by almost 1 degree Celsius, about 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit. That may not seem like much. But consider that just 10 degrees Celsius is the difference between an ice-free and an ice-covered Earth. Lesson content. Figure 6. The average annual temperature on Earth has been rising for the past 100 years. Most scientists agree that global warming is caused by more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, see figure below. This increases the greenhouse effect. There is more carbon dioxide mainly because of the burning of fossil fuels. Destroying forests is another cause. With fewer forests, less carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere by photosynthesis. Lesson content. Figure 7. This graph shows the recent trend in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Effects of climate change. How has global warming affected Earth and its life? Some of its effects include decline in cold-adapted species such as polar bears, melting of glaciers and rising sea levels, coastal flooding and shoreline erosion, heat-related human health problems, more droughts and water shortages, changing patterns of precipitation, increasing severity of storms, major crop losses. These two videos discuss some of the consequences from changes in ecosystems, 747, and 226. KQED, Climate Watch, California at the tipping point. The world's climate is changing and California is now being affected in both dramatic and subtle ways. In 2008, scientists determined that California's temperatures increased by more than 2.1 degrees Fahrenheit during the last century. What's more, the data showed that human activity has played a significant role in that climate change. What's just 2 degrees? You may wonder. But, as the science shows, just 2 degrees is extremely significant. What does all this temperature change mean? For starters, declining mountain snowpack and prolonged drought conditions could pose a threat to limited water supplies. Heat waves are projected to be longer, bringing increased danger from wildfires and heat-related deaths. Rising sea levels due to temperature shifts jeopardize life in coastal areas, both for human communities and the plants and animals that rely on intertidal and rich wetland ecosystems. Also, more precipitation is expected to fall as rain rather than snow, thereby increasing the risk of floods. And, as heat increases the formation of smog, poor air quality could get even worse. Climate change may also profoundly affect the economy in California and elsewhere. Shorter ski seasons and damage to the marine ecosystem mean a reduction in tourism. Water shortages mean issues with the commercial and recreational fishing industry, and higher temperatures will affect crop growth and quality, weakening the agricultural industry, to name just a few of the economic issues associated with climate change. Get an in-depth look at the science behind climate change in the video below. CK12, Giant Redwoods and Global Warming. Forest ecologist Steve Sillett is leading a team of scientists as they climb and measure every branch of some of the last and tallest old-growth redwoods in California. Their goal is to learn how these ancient giants have historically responded to climatic shifts and to monitor how they are being impacted today by global warming. CK12, acidic seas. Melting glaciers, rising temperatures, and droughts are all impacts of global warming. But how does global warming actually affect the oceans? The sea, it turns out, absorbs carbon dioxide emissions. The ocean acts like a giant sponge, absorbing carbon dioxide emissions from the air. And as we add more and more carbon dioxide to air by burning fossil fuels, the ocean is absorbing it. On one level, it's done us a big favor. Scientists say that we would be experiencing much more extreme climate change were it not for the ocean's ability to remove the heat-trapping gas. However, these emissions are causing the oceans to become more acidic. Changing pH levels threaten entire marine food webs, from coral reefs to salmon. As carbon dioxide levels increase in the atmosphere, the levels also increase in the oceans. What effects does this have? Can ocean acidification make it difficult for sea life to produce their hard exoskeletons? What can be done? Efforts to reduce future global warming mainly involve energy use. We need to use less energy, for example, by driving more fuel-efficient cars. We also need to switch to energy sources that produce less carbon dioxide, such as solar and wind energy. At the same time, we can increase the amount of carbon dioxide that is removed from air. We can stop destroying forests and plant new ones. CK12, Earth Day. Earth Day Network's mission is to broaden, diversify, and activate the environmental movement worldwide, driving action year-round through a combination of education, public policy, and consumer campaigns. See for additional information. Each year, April 22 marks the anniversary of what many consider the birth of the modern environmental movement in 1970. The idea came to Earth Day founder Gaylord Nelson, then a U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, after witnessing the ravages of the 1969 massive oil spill in Santa Barbara, California. On the 22nd of April 20 million Americans took to the streets, parks, and auditoriums to demonstrate for a healthy, sustainable environment in massive coast-to-coast rallies. Thousands of colleges and universities organized protests against the deterioration of the environment. Groups that had been fighting against oil spills, polluting factories and power plants, raw sewage, toxic dumps, pesticides, freeways, the loss of wilderness, and the extinction of wildlife suddenly realized they shared common values. As 1990 approached, a group of environmental leaders organized another big campaign. This time, Earth Day went global, mobilizing 200 million people in 141 countries and lifting environmental issues onto the world stage. Earth Day 1990 gave a huge boost to recycling efforts worldwide and helped pave the way for the 1992 United Nations Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. As the year 2000 approached, 5,000 environmental groups in a record 184 countries reached out to hundreds of millions of people. Earth Day 2000 used the Internet to organize activists, but also featured a talking drum chain that traveled from village to village in Gabon, Africa, and hundreds of thousands of people gathered on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Earth Day 2000 sent world leaders the loud and clear message that citizens around the world wanted quick and decisive action on clean energy. In 2010, the Earth Day Network re-established Earth Day as a powerful focal point around which people could demonstrate their commitment. The Earth Day Network brought 225,000 people to the National Mall for a climate rally, amassed 40 million environmental service actions toward its 2012 goal of a billion acres of green, launched an international, 1 million tree planting initiative with Avatar director James Cameron, and tripled its online base to over 900,000 members. The fight for a clean environment continues in a climate of increasing urgency, as the ravages of climate change become more manifest every day. See the video below for more information on California's environmental movement. Lesson Summary: renewable resources can be replaced by natural processes as quickly as humans use them. Examples include sunlight and wind. Non-renewable resources exist in fixed amounts. They can be used up. Examples include fossil fuels such as coal. Soil and water are renewable resources but may be ruined by careless human actions. Soil can be depleted of nutrients. It can also be eroded by wind or water. Overuse and pollution of fresh water threaten the limited supply that people depend on. Air pollution consists of chemical substances and particles released into the air, mainly by human actions. The major cause of outdoor air pollution is the burning of fossil fuels. Indoor air can also be polluted. Air pollution, in turn, causes acid rain, ozone depletion, and global warming. Gases such as carbon dioxide from the burning of fossil fuels increase the natural greenhouse effect. This is raising the temperature of Earth's surface, and is called global warming. Lesson Review Questions. Recall. 1. Define natural resource. 2. Distinguish between renewable and non-renewable resources and give examples. 3. Summarize the environmental effects of burning fossil fuels. 4. How does air pollution contribute to global warming? Apply concepts. 5. How could you create a three-dimensional model of the greenhouse effect? What processes would you demonstrate with your model? What materials would you use? 6. Apply lesson concepts to explain the relationship between the graphs in figure above and figure above. Think critically. 7. Infer factors that determine whether a natural resource is renewable or non-renewable. 8. Why would you expect a dead zone to start near the mouth of a river, where the river flows into a body of water? 9. Explain how air pollution is related to acid rain and ozone depletion. Points to consider. Microorganisms such as bacteria are important living resources in all ecosystems. They recycle nutrients and other matter. What do you know about microorganisms? Besides bacteria, are there other types of microorganisms? Are viruses microorganisms? Are they living things?